Good morning, students. So we pick up from where we left it in the last lecture, and now I am going to teach you and tell you and make you understand the assessment method. How do we go about the assessment of the primary health center or the other public health facilities. There are different methods, like I have told you in my last lecture: staff interview, observation, record review and patient interview. They are the various methods of assessment. You go there, stand quietly in a particular ward or a department, and you just observe what the people are doing over there, what the staff is doing, how the patient is moving from point A to point B, and that is how you will understand the happening there in the department or in the ward. You can always interview the staff, you can always interview the patient, and lastly there is definitely certain documents which you will like to see, observe, go through it, read it and make your own observations. The observation, simply put it in the manner, compliance to many of the measurable elements can be assessed by directly observing the articles, processes and surrounding environment. Simply stand there and observe the activities which are taking place there. It may be enumeration of the articles like equipment, drugs, display of the signages, work instructions, important information, facilities, tariff charges, patient amenities, ramps, complaint box, environment, cleanliness, loose wires, seepage, overcrowding, temperature control, availability of cow catcher, procedures like measuring BP, counseling, segregation, biomedical waste, etc. So these are all methods of observation, and you collect the data and you record your observation. Staff interview, you can always interview the staff, interact with the staff, and it will help you in assessing the knowledge and skill level required for performing a particular job. Competency testing, quiz the staff on knowledge related to their job. You can ask them to show you a method of CPR, or you can ask them to tell you about the firefighting, fire safety measures which are available there in their particular area of work. If there is a ICU, how will he or she know about the oxygen availability in the central pipeline, if there is a alarm system available there or not. Demonstration, asking staff to demonstrate certain activities like hand washing technique, newborn resuscitation. Awareness, asking staff about awareness of patients' right, quality policy, handling of high alert drugs, all those things. Attitude about patients' dignity and gender issues, whether the privacy is provided or not, whether the staff they feel safe during the night time, particularly the female staff. Feedback about adequacy of supplies, problems in performing work, safety issues. Then we have the record review, and it may not be possible to observe all clinical procedures. Records also generate objective evidences which need to be triangulated with findings of the observation. Whatever you have observed, you go back to the records, you read the records and you cross-check it. They may have given you an impression that they have enough medicines in the ICU or in the ward, but when you go to the indent book, you find that the indent has been placed only last month and there were no medicines previous to that. So that will give you a very clear picture about the availability of medicines. Review of the department registers like admission registers, handover registers, expenditure registers, review of licenses, formats for legal compliances, review of FOPs, review of monitoring records, and review of department data and indicators. These indicators are the key performance indicators, that is the KPIs. KPIs are the performance indicators. So those will give you some idea about the performance in the particular department or in the ward, like a BOR or a ALS or a bad turnover. They will give you a fair idea of their performance level. Then on the day of assessment, drug tray in the labor room may have adequate quantity of the oxytocin, but review of the drug expenditure register reveals poor consumption pattern of the oxytocin. So we need to do more inquiries to ascertain adherence to the protocols in the labor room. So that is the importance of record review. Patient interview. We should also interview the patients in the OPD, in the ward, and the patient attendant in the ICU to find out about the quality of services, the staff behavior, the food quality, because patients will always tell you the truth. Out-of-pocket expenditure incurred during the hospitalization, because there are many schemes of government which doesn't allow the patient to incur any expenditure. Effective communication like counseling services and self-drug administration. Because we have said that the patient, if admitted, will be administered the drug under nursing supervision. So you have to first familiarize with the measurable element and checkpoint, understand the assessment method and means of verification, gather the information and evidence, compare with the checkpoint and means of verification, and arrive at a conclusion for the compliance. Now we see how we give the scoring. Scoring is defined either as 0, 1 or 2. 0 is non-compliance, 1 is partial compliance, and 2 is full compliance. The partial compliance means that more than 50% tracers in the means of verification are available, and non-compliance means you are not able to find compliance in 50% of tracers. So that is the measurement policy, the scoring rules are 0, 1 and 2. Now this is a scorecard of a particular department. It is the emergency department, emergency room scorecard, where the overall score is 70%, and in the area of concern, each area of concern has been given a separate scoring from 78 maximum to 90% maximum to 52% minimum in different areas of concern, which are service provision, patient rights, inputs, support services, clinical services, infection control, quality management, and the outcome. Similarly, there is a hospital scorecard. This hospital scorecard is given in the yellow box. You can find the hospital score about 70%, which is the minimum required for getting the NQA certification. And various departments, the total departments in a district hospital are about 18. 18 departments have to be defined, and there may be a situation where a particular hospital is not asking for all 18 departments to be evaluated. They can always request for less than 18, but 18 is the maximum, and that is how you will find the scorecard of a hospital. And the area of concern wise scorecard will also be generated. These all things will happen automatically in the Excel sheet. When you are marking the Excel sheet and you just at the end of it you finish it, you will find that the other scorecards are automatically generated. It is already fed into the checklist. The formula is already there, so you don't have to worry on that account. It will be done. But yes, you can always have a look at that, and then you can always also find that there is a scoring for the each standard, which is a summary being created. The name of the checklist. These are the 18 different departments which will be available there in a district hospital, like from accident and emergency, OPD, labor room, maternity ward, SNCU, pediatric ward, nutritional rehabilitation center, inpatient department, ICU, OT, postpartum unit, blood bank, laboratory, radiology, pharmacy, auxiliary services, mortuary and general admin. Just to apprise you about the various checklists of different wards and departments, a sample is being shown to you here. Details you can always read in the guidebooks or in the district hospital checklist. It is applicable to the accident and emergency department of a hospital. The checklist has been designed to assess all aspects of the dedicated emergency department, and if emergency department is shared with OPD infrastructure, then two checklists should be used independently. There are few instances where the emergency department and the OPD are common. So in that case, the two checklists for the OPD and emergency department will be filled up independently. In the labor room, the applicable to the labor room and its auxiliary areas like nursing station, waiting area and recovery area. It also includes septic, labor room and eclampsia room. So that is how the checklists are being prepared department wise, and you have to look into the department as per the area of concern. There are 8 areas of concern. For each department, all 8 areas of concern will be taken into consideration, and you will have to mark them, score them like 0, 1 and 2 we just discussed about it. Partial fulfillment, full compliance and non-compliance. So students, with this I end today, and in my next lecture we will study some other topics, some other interesting subject. So for the time for today, it's all done. Thank you so very much.